Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening to those of you around the world. Welcome to the daily Trade the Chain crypto update, where we give you everything you need to know for the next 24 hours and hopefully the next few days. Today is Monday, April 10th. It is the second week of April, the second week of the quarter as well. And we have a fresh weekly, which is going to be fun to analyze. So let's go ahead and dive in. So looking at DXY, and I guess just to set the tone for DXY, just to kind of rewind, if you forgot what happened at the end of last week, we got employment data, and we covered this, of course, in the Friday edition. But U.S. markets were closed, and it was Easter weekend, so I'm sure many people took the weekend off, which no problem there. But the data we got last Friday was a little bit slightly employment than expected, which is definitely positive. But the unemployment rate actually grew to 3.5%, but wage inflation actually dropped to 4.2%. So this number is not what Jerome Powell wants to see, but this number is what Jerome Powell wants to see. So if we look at DXY, based on, when things happen that Jerome Powell does not want to see, typically the dollar will grow stronger. Dollar did grow stronger, from last night and into early this morning. And now we're hovering around resistance, which is, mid 102 level. So if we actually close above the 102.5 level, then momentum is definitely in the bullish direction for DXY, which would likely end up being bearish for risk and crypto. But we have seen, obviously, DXY rise, and crypto and equities are still standing tall. So very good sign here, in relation to the dollar. But if the dollar does continue higher, it will be a tougher situation for risk assets to continue higher. So very much something to consider at that point. So no real, decision point or indicator from the dollar, but we do know if the dollar continues to move higher based on the likelihood that the Fed is going to have to continue to raise rates, then likely, it's going to be a tough bullish battle for risk assets. So very much something to consider there, but nothing directly impactful today. So looking at equities, and as you can see, just from the dollar moving higher from last night, well, equities have moved lower from last night. So we're seeing that play through now. And equities are hovering around the 40.70 level. So 40.70 level is very key for multiple reasons. It's obviously the low of both Wednesday and Thursday last week. It's also where the 1 hour 200 estimated moving average is. So both, the support from last week's lows, as well as support on the estimated 200 moving average. And of course, you have support down to 40.60 just based on the top of the range that it was trading in prior to April. So you definitely have a lot of support here, but what equities need to do, and as you can see here, early this morning, it got cut back at the weekly VWAP. So we want to see it break above the weekly VWAP to then be able to head higher. And we would like to see, 4110, 4115 be that next target. If 4070 fails, we're at 4060 next. And if 4060 fails, then we're dipping back into this, range right here, and that's obviously not very good. So we want this area to hold, else we will end up heading here. And if this area holds, we basically want the VWAP to flip and then head higher. If equities head higher, I think crypto is having a better day. But if equities do start to slip and slide lower throughout the day, then crypto will likely have it rough, for the rest of the day. But one thing to consider, and this is something we've been talking to the Trade the Chain community about, is we've seen a lot of bearish price action from equities into lunchtime. So right here, this is around 1 p.m. We got bought back and then held the lows, got bought back. Next day we dropped at the open, and then we got bought back. So we're seeing a lot of early selling, and of course Monday selling is quite a common occurrence. So just look at last Sunday into Monday. We sold off a little bit before having some bullish volatility. So selling off here, we're at the lows. This is where you would put a long in with a stop below support right here. So if you are bullish, I think your stop would be maybe around 40.68, maybe 40.67, and you would put a long, right around this level. You'd obviously target to get back above the VWAP and probably target, 41.10 as your high points, and then, maybe 4100, 40.90, something around there as your midpoint. So that's definitely a trade idea. And of course, it is, based on the premise that 40.70 holds as support. If 40.70 holds, I am bullish equities. So looking at crypto, what we can see is, very, very tight range. I'll see, I mean, look how tight this is. We've been trading in this exact little area since the 2nd of April. So 8 days straight, we've been trading in this little area. Price, for all the chances and attempts that it had to break below 27.8, it was unable to reach last week's lows of 27.2 and or 27.5. So fascinating price action over the weekend that we were able to hold this. We obviously had a small boost yesterday, and then we had a boost today. So what we told the Trade the Chain community, if you hold 28.2, you can get back above 28.3. If you get back above 28.3, you're back up to these recent highs. We obviously tagged these recent highs now. So what we need to do, and I'll go ahead and get rid of these because that obviously played out. We still know that 28.2 is still, where we want to hold. And we know that, 28.5 is really what we need to break. So if we zoom out a little bit, you just kind of draw the arrow up here. If we can break 28.5 and flip that, then we can get up to 28.6 and try and flip that. If we get rejected at 28.5, we're likely back to 28.2. If we get rejected at 28.6, we're probably likely back to 28.2 or maybe up here to 28.3. So here, I'm actually going to edit that. If we get rejected at 28.5, we're back to 28.2. If we make it up to 28.6 and get rejected, then I'll say we're going to come back to 28.3 because we should, continue bullish market structure higher as long as we continue to make higher highs and higher lows. So then if we hold 28.3, then you would potentially expect it to get back above 28.6 for a move higher. And of course, if you lose 28.2, then you're going to be down to 28 flat, which, be right around where the previous weekly VWAP was, as well as the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average. And of course, if you lose 28, then you're back down to 27.8. You lose 27.8, 27.5, lose 27.5, down to 27.2. So very easy. And I'll go ahead and just draw these lines for you guys because I think, it's not too difficult to understand exactly how we're trading. So you got support here, you got support right about here, and then you got support here, and then you got support here, and then you got support here. Boom. So these are your levels. This is not difficult trading. No matter what anyone tells you, this is probably some of the best trading conditions you are going to get because of the simplicity of the trading. So if you can get above 28.5, get above here, you can attack here. Get rejected here, you're back here. Get rejected here, you're back here. Get rejected here, you're back here. Hold here, you're up here. Hold here, you're up here. I mean, this is just ping pong. So play your levels correctly and, play them tight. Don't delay. If you want to short or long on the breaks, short on the taps. You know what I'm saying? So if it's tapping here and coming back, this is where you want to short back down here. I mean, if you would have shorted right here to right here, I mean, that's the play. So, I'm not saying get too crazy and get overzealous, but I mean, the ranges and the situationality of this trading is very, very straightforward. It's defined to very round numbers. It's, it's a couple $100 ranges, and everything has been very technically driven. So, get above here, bounce here, you start targeting the next level, then the next level, the next level. Okay, rejected here, short here, long here. Okay, cut, then we'll maybe short back here, long here, cut, short here, long here, cut, short here, back down here, cut, long here. See if it can get back above 25. So, I mean, this is exactly how we're playing this. And we're talking about this in the Trade the Chain community office. So again, if you're not in the Trade the Chain community, you're missing out on all of these trades. We talk about DXY, equities, Bitcoin, and Ethereum every single morning. So it amounts to about 20 different trade ideas per week, 4 per day. So, we're talking about this every single day. And, if you're not following these trade levels, of course, on the show, we're giving you a lot of examples, but in the morning, we're giving you a lot more specificity. So in terms of Bitcoin, I am bullish if we can get above 28.5. Now we're just trading in the range that we created yesterday. So the range is obviously down here to up here. This is the top half of the range. We're trading in the top half of the range. We can bust out of the top half of the range. Next target is 28.6, above 28.6. We're talking 28.8 or higher. Below 28.6, we have each of our levels to potentially long or short, depending on where the bias and momentum leads. So looking at Ethereum, Also very straightforward. We were trading, very early this morning. We were trading at the 1 hour estimated 200 moving average at about 1850. I told the trade the chain community, as demonstrated by the line, if 1850 holds, we're back up to the VWAP. The VWAP holds, then we're back up to the recent highs. We didn't exactly get to the recent highs yet, but we are above the VWAP. VWAP's trying to hold right now. So if the VWAP does hold, this would be a long up to at least 1875 from 1860. If you're short here, then you're shorting back down to the 1850 level. If 1850 breaks, you're back down to 1830. If 1830 breaks, you're back down to 1800, maybe 1795. And that would be where you would either long here, or you would long here, or you would short on, if we held at 1830 and we broke through 1828, then you'd short all the way back down here. So again, very straightforward trading. We're sitting in a range, bust above the range, long it. If it's at the range low, long it. If it's at the range high, short it. If it's breaking below the range, short it. If it breaks below the lows from yesterday, short it. If it shows strength at the lows yesterday, long it. If it breaks back above 1845, long it. So, I mean, again, these are your trade ideas. So exactly, Joe, you're 100% right. And in the comments, and if anyone else is following along, Joe is quite often follows along with our insights and loves to chime in. And we very much appreciate him and his thoughts. And yes, it is very much like clockwork. Now, trading is not easy because we're obviously trying to time the directionality and we're taking chances at each level. But if you're just looking at the trading, if you're longing resistance touches, then you're losing. You need to short resistance touches, and if you're longing support touches, then you're mainly winning. You're not every single time, but more often than not, long support touch, long support touch, long support touch, long support touch, long support touch here. So if you're longing at least a support touch and then it breaks, you have an easy cut and you lose a very small finite amount. And it same goes for shorting resistance. Very rarely has it been, it's been trading very technically. And as long as you understand the VWAP right here is support, I'm going to long this. If it goes any lower, I'm going to cut it, which means you're losing very small amount of money to then try and make a good, decent chunk of money here. Because again, when you long the VWAP touches, typically it will work out, especially after you get a breakthrough, So nothing is 100%, but when you take these chances and you time it the way that we time it, then you have a very low risk profile and a very high reward profile. So that's how we're looking at things right now. There is, as it stands right now, I would not get too overzealous, but I do think that equities will likely hold this level. If they do hold this level, then I think crypto is having a much better day than it already is having today. So if equities can hold this level and start making its way back above the VWAP, potentially to previous daily close, then you would likely think that Bitcoin's trying to chug its way back up to 28.5, maybe 28.6. But it is important to understand that a lot of this early, move is likely gone, and we may not see, some of that beautiful volatility towards the end of the day. So we could certainly trickle up here. And of course, we did tap this VWAP again and are trying to move higher above the VWAP cloud. So, you could potentially get some late trading action in here. But again, the early trades are over. We did get our boost. We could certainly see another boost, but I think you're probably likely to see most of that the next stage of price action occur around the previous daily close. We talk about this all the time. US Open, daily close are the biggest, 2 points, especially for the crypto trading. So personally, my bias is still long, as it has been for quite some time. But given the boost that we just saw, we could certainly slowly careen back down to 28.3 before heading higher. And so I'm not really wanting to long 28.4, but I will try and re-add around 28.3 if we get it. So that's how I'm looking at things. And again, if you're not in the Trade the Chain community, missing out on over 20 trade ideas a week. That's 4 trade ideas per day, plus all the auxiliary emails, research, conversation, and follow-ups we do throughout the day. So good luck, happy trading. See everybody in the Trade the Chain community.